What's up, you guys want some Microsoft points? Let's talk video games, or more specifically, video game consoles. For some folks, their first console was a Nintendo 64, and then they moved on to the GameCube, maybe the Wii. Some people grew up with a Mega Drive, which is what us non-Americans call the Sega Genesis. These are all great systems with plenty to offer. But me, my first console was the PS1. And oh god, I struggle to put that into words beyond the vibes were unreal. Like, let me just... The PS1 was an era of developers pioneering new tech within the 3D space at every turn. The future was now, and it was promising. White letters on a black background and a box full of dreams. Ape Escape, Wipeout, the only real Tekken game according to some people. Crash Bandicoot, Purple Crash Bandicoot, Metal Gear Solid, Dino Crisis, the scary games I'm not allowed to play. And that's without even mentioning... the greatest game of all time. Not to flex, but that same Christmas I also got the Pikachu Yellow Game Boy Color. Yeah, it matched the cartridge of Pokemon Yellow, and yeah, you probably should have been my friend. But eventually, we moved into a new generation, and with it came the PlayStation's successor. The PS2 was the Wild West, with developers saying, you know what? Fuck it, we're just gonna go nuts! Because games weren't too costly to make by this point, and those who knew what they were doing could pump them out pretty quick. This led to the single most vast, varied, and voluptuous library of titles a console has ever seen. As if that wasn't enough, I played Halo 2 at a friend's house a single time, and that was enough to convince me that I needed to beg and plead and scream and cry, I need the big green Xbox! So yeah, this is a really, really good start for my childhood, and at this rate, I'm probably gonna have to make videos on some of those consoles too. But it's what came next that would be the most pivotal console of my entire life. Enter the Xbox 360. Want a reminder that you are not immune to nostalgia? Here's the original 360 dashboard. Look at the blades, dude! The dawn of online multiplayer as we know it was a very exciting time. While the 360 wasn't the first instance of a console with online capabilities, with its predecessor and the PS2 both having the capacity for online play, that was a typically rare privilege afforded only to those who really, really wanted it, and actual functionality was bare bones at best. The 360 not only made online gaming more accessible for countless people, it effectively defined it for an entire generation. Communication, stability, mostly. Personal profiles, clans, the boom of esports, it always felt like something big was happening. As though a new world had just opened up, vast and full of adventure, handing you all the tools to make your mark. Not to mention, there are a bunch of extra features that didn't need to be there, but they really made the experience what it was. Were you pro or underground? Don't even bother if you're family, dude. Everyone knows family sucks. Gamer score literally means nothing, but good lord, it was everything back in the day. I knew people who would buy entire games solely for the purpose of boosting their gamer score, like relax. My gamer score is this, by the way, and I know you're extremely impressed right now. There was a music player feature that actually overrode the music of whatever game you were playing. I have very vivid memories of blasting Linkin Park over Call of Duty because I was a very cool kid who did not get bullied in school. I really cannot stress how deeply enthralling the sheer idea of online play was for my younger self. Prior to having this console, I used to do stuff like sit in Halo 2 multiplayer maps offline and alone, just imagining what it would be like to be playing with friends. Okay, maybe I did get bullied in school. But yeah, this in tandem with everything else it had going for it made the 360 a console that was, in no uncertain terms, outright revolutionary. PS3? More like PSB? My friend, console wars are over. While there's obviously a lot of nuance to the console's generation and countless changes throughout it, no, I'm not going to discuss the Kinect, we can leave that behind. I'd probably divide the 360 era of Xbox Live into two distinct phases, the first of which was straight up the Wild West. Part 2. This is when in-game voice chat was your only option when it came to communication, which meant your only safe haven if someone started saying some choice words was to manually mute them, but some games didn't make this super easy to do in the middle of an online match, and let's be honest, were you really gonna go to the trouble of muting every toxic gremlin you come across? It was much easier to use that handy little headset of yours to tell them precisely where their mother was last night. And thus, Trash Talk entered a golden age. Those multiplayer lobbies were where boys became men. We were in the trenches. God forbid you didn't have a headset of your own, because you'd still hear other players through your TV, but you wouldn't be able to defend yourself from the wretched masses unless you angrily typed them a strongly worded message after the match. And good luck trying to hear what your buddy is trying to say over the sound of some guy's vacuum and dog. Seriously, why did this happen so often? But this absolute anarchy came with huge silver linings. It changed the way games were played. Cooperation was now easier than ever. You could make verbal callouts to help your allies in an instant. And sure, while some chose to instead treat their team to the dulcet tones of Hollywood Undead through the crispy delivery of a barely functioning Xbox 360 headset, maybe you could look at that guy and say, "Hey man, let's go this way," and maybe he would actually hear you out. Suddenly, you had a wingman watching your back, and you'd do the same in turn. The match would end, but maybe you'd keep playing together. Hours of just one more game later, and that was it. The two of you were brothers. Xbox Live might have been a trash fire of hatred and venom, but it was in this fire that true bonds were forged. It wasn't at all uncommon for people from completely different walks of life to reach out and band together. Sometimes this came in the form of a passing, "Nice work, buddy," or that one guy who was always there to revive you, refusing to leave anyone behind even if it meant his own death. But if you got real lucky, this came in the form of a consistent group of loyal friends who, through so many laughs shared, challenges faced, and memories forged, became family. Now for the second phase of Xbox Live, I'm just going to title this part, Xbox Live Parties Changed Everything. Parties served to provide us gamers with a place to privately chat with their friends before the days of the Discord call. Suddenly you didn't have to worry about XX gunshots, XX breaking the record for numbers of slurs screamed in a single sentence. You could just kick back, relax, and start yelling obscenities at your friends instead. I'm not gonna hold you, we all engaged in verbal war crimes on Xbox Live. Real diabolical shit, you had to be there. It kind of served as a double-edged sword though, because while this was great for more introverted gamers who just wanted to hang out with their own personal circle, it came at the cost of in-game interactions. It suddenly became a lot more difficult to directly communicate with teammates, and some people would just sit in a party by themselves so that they didn't have to worry about talking to other people. This meant that situations like the one with Mr. Hollywood Undead became much more rare, and while the option for parties was undoubtedly a good change, some amount of magic was lost in the process. But no matter what modern-day Microsoft might say, the fact of the matter is, a console is only as good as the games it allows you to play. Even outside of the exclusives, this generation just had a banger lineup in general. I'm talking GTA 4, Assassin's Creed but when it was good, Devil May Cry 4, Call of Duty but when it was good.
The new one seems pretty fun actually.
Bioshock, Burnout, Rock Band, don't even get me started on Rock Band, Dark Souls, Left 4 Dead, Dead Space, Elder Scrolls but when Bethesda actually made new Elder Scrolls games, LA Noire, Borderlands, Lost Planet, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Final Fantasy 13, maybe not that one. You get the idea. This generation was stacked beyond compare, and for all the praise rightfully given to all the all-star exclusives, let's hear it for the kick-ass exclusives that didn't get as much spotlight. What you know about Lost Odyssey, huh? And once we do factor in all those all-star exclusives, they just keep going strong. But, you know, the 360 already has a world-shattering exclusive shooty game series. There's no way it would get another one. Oh shit, it got another one. So, while we were all enjoying one banger after another, we found ourselves unprepared for what was to come. We really thought we were ready, but we weren't, because it's 2007, and everything is about to change.
Can you tell us what you remember about the battle?
We'd been fighting for a while. On the 7th day, we ran out of ammo. We had to scavenge all we could from the weapons that had been left behind. The pistols, shotgun rounds, a handful of grenades.
Do you remember where you were?
When Master Chief armed his grenade, I was in the back of an overturned warthog firing an M41.
How did you manage to keep it together?
We knew Master Chief was still in the fight. He gave us hope.
The launch of Halo 2 before it had already been an absolute event. The hype was unprecedented. So believe me when I tell you that this game set the world on fire. Halo 3 to this day remains one of the most legendary games of all time, full stop. I literally skipped school just to play as much of the beta as I could, because I was a rebel like that. This game alone sold consoles. Multiplayer was beefier than ever, with customizable Spartans and Elites. We were rocking entirely new game modes like Theater, which was one of the earliest instances of players clipping their gameplay to share later, and Forge, which went ahead and injected a massive dose of value to custom games, leading to insanely creative maps and ways to play. But what everyone had been waiting with bated breath for was the campaign, the return of the generation's most iconic hero for the climactic third installment of the trilogy, and it did not disappoint. This game just made everyone happy. I do not remember a single person complaining. Like, the 100-Year War probably could have been settled by sitting everyone down for some good old griffball, you know what I mean? I'm sorry to tell you this, but if you didn't like Halo 3, you might not actually be real. There really isn't much I can say about it that hasn't already been said, but Halo 3 was so popular it actually became kind of a problem for me. It was the one game everyone had, so if you were hanging out with friends online, this was basically always what people opted to play, and eventually I just got really burnt out on it. Like, I still loved the game, I just wanted to maybe play different things every now and again, you know? But it's all good, because then I got a massive breath of fresh air when Bungle went and made the best entry in the entire series! It was never over, but we are so fucking back anyway! Where my reachers at? Let's go! ODST was also a thing, and it was really, really cool. If we ever get ODST 2, I will go feral! But, as we've mentioned, while it was easily the biggest of them, Halo wasn't the only big exclusive the 360 had on offer. Because if you didn't buy an Xbox for Halo, you bought an Xbox for Fable. Going back to Fable's first installment these days, it doesn't entirely hold up, but it's still pretty solid, and a large reason for that is down to how unique this game was for the time especially. There's a whole lot of ideas just kind of thrown in there for better or worse, and I personally think it leans on better more often than not. There's just so much to this game. Special gear, secrets to find, all kinds of systems going on in the background. It's the bold first step of something genuinely great, and looking at it you can see how the series would have knocked it out of the park if the following entries had properly ran with this foundation.
But that's not what happened, is it?
It was also a funny, silly game. You kick chickens, dance like a moron, the heads of your enemies pop off like Lego. The violence makes me laugh. Part of the draw for me was the element of choice that's always at play, which is usually very basic morality stuff, but it was one of the first games out there to provide diverging paths, even if that amounted to a simple fork in the road. While I'll always take a well-crafted experience over hollow choices, I still appreciate what was done here specifically. It's nice to dance to the beat of my own drum. I'm a Capricorn, let me have this. The thing about Fable's choices is how it saturates those choices across the experience itself. How do I want to fight? Which skills should I get? What do I want to look like? Do I want to be good or evil, or hover in the middle like a boring person and claim to be nuanced? Even something as simple as an item displayed in a shop presents layers of choice. I could buy it with gold, but I could also steal it. But I could also fuck that up and punch the shopkeep out of frustration and go to prison. But I could also just find it in a treasure chest like 10 minutes later, fuck's sake. It's probably... I just cracked myself up. It's probably considered bare bones these days, but Fable managed to provide a sense of scope without relying on a huge empty open Fable managed to provide a sense of scope without relying on huge empty open worlds or a massive checklist of time-wasting bullshit.
However,
What I'm discussing right now was an original Xbox game, not a 360 game. But even before anything was announced, it was obvious that a game this well received by so many was bound for a sequel, and it would arrive on the 360. Then, we got hit with the trailer.
Welcome, child. Your story is waiting. The world that was has changed and grown. So will you. Choose your fortune. Will you follow the path of mind or body, nobility, or corruption? Every choice leads to a different destiny. Choose yours.
Oh man, can you imagine if this was actually the game we'd gotten? That would have been wild. And I'm not here to rag on Fable 2 itself either. It was a disappointment for me personally, but a lot of people really enjoyed it. And I also have little room to talk because I'm one of the only people in the entire world who actually did enjoy Fable 3, at least as a co-op experience. But god damn it, the Heroes Guild was the coolest element of the first game, and then they got rid of it entirely for the rest of the series. What the fuck? Ultimately, the Fable games, at least the earlier entries, were fondly remembered overall. But I'd be lying if I said I'm not still to this day chasing the dragon of that first game. Like, maybe that reboot will pull through, am I right? The modern gaming industry has never let me down before. I opted to make this video because I wanted to look back on something special to me and shed a bit of light on why it was all so special, but I really do find it difficult to properly describe it. The Xbox 360 will always be my favourite console, and that's the result of innovation coupling with creativity in a seamless marriage of hardware and software, but that description alone isn't doing it justice. The absolute buffet of different genres on offer, comboed with the spice that was the wildcard of online multiplayer, meant every new game offered something wholly unique. Seriously, if it hadn't been for this console, I probably would have just been the RPG boy forever. But I got to try out so much stuff I'd never thought to try before, and everything left such a distinct impression. Burnout Revenge helped me realize that, hey, maybe I actually do enjoy racing games when I get to smash into people at what feels like a billion million miles per hour. Rock Band 2 felt like I was going on a wacky, bombastic tour with my friends, bantering between songs and enjoying the music together. I actually couldn't stand fighting games until I played Soul Calibur 4 because the character creation drew me in, and well, if you know anything about me these days, you know how pivotal this was for me. Resident Evil, Lost Planet, and Gears of War were all third-person shooters that provided insane co-op fun. Genuinely some of the best experiences I've had with the genre. Man, what the fuck even was Viva Pinata? This console encompasses an entire era of video game history that means so very much to me. It arrived during a very important part of my life where the daunting world of social interaction as a lonely, nervous teenager with zero self-esteem was made just a bit easier by chatting with people from all over the world in a comfortable space. And the stress of day-to-day life was eased by the sheer fun I had at home because, yeah, I might have just absolutely dumpstered it on that big test, but hey, at least I got that sick-ass mid-air no-scope on Jake the other day. Get absolutely demolished, Jake. It was an experience that in no small way changed my life for the better, and it's also one that can never really be replicated again due to the unique circumstances surrounding it. The gaming scene has never really been the same since, but that only makes it all that much more special. When I think back on these fond memories that are so powerful, they can sincerely bring me to tears, I realize how lucky I am to have them. The late nights of absolutely annihilating my sleep to run just one more game of Team Slayer, discovering absolute gems on the Xbox Live Arcade, the trash talk and banter, the countless sessions of co-op, busting my ass for some stupid achievement or unlockable, the constant thrill of discovering an incredible new experience around every corner. and getting to share that with the people who mattered most, to the dear friends I made through Xbox Live. I love you all. And to the countless people who made the entire generation an immeasurably fun, wacky, hilarious and heartwarming adventure, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.